Actually. All right, here he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Marcel Louis-Jacques. How you feeling, bro? Did you have any Chicago deep dish pizza?
Oh, of course. Went and split a Giordano's deep dish last night. Had 3 slices and had to tap out. Man, that thing is thick. It's like lasagna with crust on it. But it was good though. I don't know. Some people hate on it. Some people say it's not real pizza. I don't care what it is. It's good. So I'll
Yeah,
take that.
yeah, deep dish pizza is fantastic. I mean, whether you think it's
Yeah,
the best or not, who gives a shit, dude? Whatever you're in the mood for, whatever kind of pizza, just enjoy it, man. So there's always this battle about what pizza's better. It's too subjective, man, when it comes to
I
that kind
loved
of
it.
stuff. I mean, some people like pineapple and some people don't. I mean, it is what it is, you know? All right, so your thoughts on the performance overall?
I gotta wonder, man. Right? It was my biggest question coming away from the game is how sustainable is the shootout model? How sustainable is the shootout model? Because this is now the third time this season where it's basically been our defense isn't going to stop anybody. So let's hope that two in the offense can score at will. And luckily for them, they have been able to score at will against the Ravens, against the Lions, against the Bears. But eventually, you have to feel like a team that's maybe a little better suited to play ball control with the lead, or a little better, more efficient on offense, a little better weapons outside. A playoff team isn't going to allow that to happen. It's game one, obviously, with Bradley Chubb. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, this was a waste of a trade. He was supposed to get 8 sacks today and single handedly stop Justin Fields. No, it's game one. He played pretty well, led the team in pressures with 3. It's only going to get better from here. But Miami was not one pass rusher away from fixing the problem on defense. And I would even go as far as to say that wasn't their biggest problem before the Chubb trade. They just simply added a really good player to their team. The biggest problem was this banged up secondary, which, I mean, I don't know how you fix that other than adding somebody new. They're just dealing with a lot of injuries, but they're giving up the highest, or one of the highest completion percentages in the NFL. It's one of the fastest time to throws in the NFL. That's not indicative of a bad pass rush. That's just an opponent saying, there's a weakness in the secondary. Let's get the ball to our receivers as quickly as possible, which is why their average yards per completion is pretty low. But that's something that is something Miami is going to have to figure out moving forward. Whether it's your guys playing more bump and run, more press coverage, or dropping somebody back into the zone coverage. I don't know, man. But that's their biggest issue, not necessarily rushing the passer. But that's the bad. That's the negative. That's the pessimist. The optimist is, well, damn, man. Here's another game where you asked Tua to go win you the game, and he goes and does it. This was the biggest thing I wanted to see personally from Tua entering the season is how does he respond when the team says, look, man, this is on you. And he's delivered now. This is the third, fourth, fifth, whatever the hell time that he's delivered with the game on his shoulders. I'm ready to say he's the guy. He's their guy. I still obviously want to see him tear up a good defense, like a good on paper defense, just so there are no excuses outside. You don't have to deal with it on social media. You don't have to say, oh, but it's the Bears. Oh, but it's the Lions. Oh, but it's the. I want to see him light somebody good up, just so I don't have to hear that shit either. But I think that he's done enough to say, like, this is your franchise quarterback, man. The questions are done. I don't want to have another conversation about it this offseason about whether or not Tua is the guy, isn't the guy. I'm on the Tua. I'm on the Tua wagon, man. I buckled my seatbelt, man. I'm not reaching for the door handle. I buckled in. I'm ready to go.
Of course, dude. I mean, please. That guy doesn't need to prove anything more that he's a freaking ass kicker. But here's the question, because everybody wants to fire Josh Boyer, and on the 60-something yard run by Justin, you look at it. Several Dolphins were there. It wasn't a bad play call. It's just, dude, it's Justin Fields. And we have this thing where we have Dolphin fans that are like, they're insulted that a great athlete make them look silly. Yet Tyreek Hill does it to everybody every single week. And Lamar Jackson's going to do it, and Josh Allen's going to do it, and Devontae Adams is going to do it, and Derrick Henry, and there are some guys that are just a mismatch, and it's shit you got to deal with. And today, maybe it's a coming of age game for Justin Fields today. You know what I'm saying? Where this is
He's
kind
been
of
knocking
his
on the door.
game. Where, yeah, but dude, it's to kill Boyer when they're playing with corners 5, 6, and 7 and 8, because Byron is your 2, Needham's your 3, and Trill is already moving in to be your 4. And so they're all gone. Now you're playing with 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 corners. You're playing with your backup strong safety that nobody, and you know this, nobody can replace Brandon Jones on that team. It's not even close. They're going to need 2 or 3 guys to do the things that Brandon Jones does because he's a luxury at that position. So to me, to pick on Boyer, and there were times where, God bless Jalen Phillips, dude, he was killing himself, bro, and he's a great athlete. But the guy he was trying to chase was a better
He's a
athlete.
better athlete. And look, man, in my takeaway, and first of all,
Tip your hat to him is all I'm saying.
yeah, I see in the comments that Chicago, the fifth ranked passing offense in terms of yards allowed per game. They're also 18th in yards allowed per play, and they're a bad run defense, which means teams aren't having to pass the ball very much, and when they do,
Right.
they're highly efficient doing it. So the numbers are a little misleading, but yeah, and it was in my takeaway that like Justin Fields' skill set, it means like this is more outlier than norm. Like they're not just gonna give up 107 rushing yards to Jacoby Brissett next week. Davis Mills is not going to run for 95 yards.
Right.
That's not it's not a problem. It's an issue that the 2 run first quarterbacks that they played in Lamar and Justin have both went bananas. But I mean, Fields more so than Lamar. I think Lamar had like that 79,
He had
80
the
yard
one run. He had the one
that
run.
made
Yeah.
it that made the most of it. But that's not the issue. The missed tackles have been there all season.
All year.
Like that has been there all year. Yeah, they were there to make the plays, but you see, they're bouncing off. I don't know if it's a matter of not breaking down, not wrapping up. I don't know how often you practice tackling in mid-season, but
you see X go like try to think he's Steve Atwater and shit, and try to hit the tight end and see he can put him on his ass, and what is it, Connect or whatever, that guy has a weird name, ran his ass over and went more, and that's X's fault, where you got to wrap up there. Everybody knows you got to wrap up, hit low, wrap up. And who the hell do you think you are, dude? You're some linebacker, and that's just lazy football. But I can't blame Josh Boyer for that. I got to blame X for that. Guys are there to make the plays. Ogba's not getting sacks. Dude, you got your sacks. You got your check. Go get more sacks. I can't blame Boyer for that. I got to blame you for that, dude.
And I think looking at the snap count today, we got kind of a taste of what this pass rush rotation is going to be. I'm going to ballpark it here because I don't have the numbers in front of me after I looked initially, but I think it was 57 snaps for Jalen Phillips, 52 snaps for Bradley Chubb, 25 for Ingram, somewhere around 15 to 20 for Emmanuel Ogba. Like they are relying on Phillips and Chubb, and they're going to rely on Phillips and Chubb to get this job done more so than the guy that they're paying, what is it, $60 million to over the course of the next 4 years. That's if efficiency doesn't.
Who they're paying $60 million?
Emmanuel Ogba.
No, man, it's a 2-year, $18 million. It's $9 million per year, isn't it?
Ogba?
Yeah. Ogba's not a big deal. It's like it's a 2-year deal, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong.
The one the one they signed right before free agency began in March.
I thought it was a 2-year deal. My bad, maybe. You see, I'll check it out. But go ahead, keep on with your point.
I was going to say comments. I'm about 90% sure I'm right here. I might have the exact number messed up, but I know it's a little more than 18.
I'm wrong. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I imagined it differently, that he signed I don't remember it being that big, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I completely got that wrong. But go ahead.
Yeah, 4 for 65. Thank you, Carlos. That's what I thought. Like, no, it was a big deal. It was a big deal because 18 sacks for the past 2 years. He's been your number one pass rusher over the past couple seasons. I think leads all defensive linemen, or led all defensive linemen in disrupted dropbacks entering the season. Nobody was really batting that much of an eye. I think at the money, you're saying, okay, maybe did they pay a little bit? Did they overpay a little bit? Yeah, that's the nature of the league, man. Every deal you sign is not going to be perfectly fair market value for for both sides. So I
But
don't
I
think that
can't
it
blame
was
Boyer
that
for
crippling.
his lack of production. But I can't
No.
blame Boyer for his lack of production. That's my problem with that. To me, that's the lazy out overall.
And it did kind of feel like at the end of the game, the Bears game plan was like the old Madden offenses, right? As I forget who it is. Somebody's been asking that down here, but they said, "Hey, receivers, go clear out, go run downfield, clear some space. Justin's going to run to one side of the field, and then he's going to take off." And there was no answer for it. There's only so much you could do when the guy under center runs a 4-3. 4-4, whatever the hell his official time was. It's crazy fast. He's special, man. And he's been bubbling over the past few weeks. He was bound to have a massive game. And, sometimes it's going to be you. If you're the Dolphins, sometimes it's going to be you. But ultimately, they got stops when it mattered. Didn't love the run-heavy game plan on offense toward the very end of the game. I thought, your guys are getting open at will. I know you're trying to eat clock. Then run a damn 2-yard slant with Tyreek or Jalen. Run a quick hitch with Jalen, and that let them try to do something after the catch. You're not getting that kind of push that you need there on the ground at the end of the game. I thought that almost blew it, but you can only criticize a win so much, right? At the end of the day, you're 6-3, third place since the. I'm curious to see. I haven't checked in on Bill's Twitter, but I'm curious to see if losing to the Jets is still embarrassing. Is that still something to be ashamed of? Is that still something to make fun of other teams about?
I don't know, but that's embarrassing for the Bills. That's all I know. It's embarrassing for them.
One team had their starting quarterback, and the other did not. The other didn't even have their second string.
A shitty game, and so I don't know. I know that Tua would have beat both of them, but that's different. He already beat Josh Allen. And Josh had to come get consoled by Tua, and Tua told him, "Hey, you're my bitch from here on out." And the Jets got lucky that they played a bunch of backup, quarterbacks. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. By the way, I'm looking at the deal here. I'm looking at the deal. There's an out after 23. It's a $4 and $15 million base salaries over the first 2 years. Another $4 million in signing bonuses. Another 5.3. So it's kind of like a 2-year, like $28 million deal, $30 million
32,
deal.
32
and then
guaranteed.
After the second year, it's only $4 million of dead cap money to get out of it. So it's a 2-year deal. But yeah, it's a little bit more. It's about 32.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are. There's going to be some big money decisions made over the next, we'll call it, off season or two. I would like Byron Jones. I think his dead cap hit, if he's released before June 1st, I think it's somewhere around $14 million, which is a lot. It's only $4 million if they can find a trade partner. That seems unlikely considering he's about to miss the entire season or damn near the entire season. We're more than halfway done with an Achilles injury. There's no recent tape on him, and he's expensive. I don't know who's, it seems like one of those trades that you're going to have to attach. You would have to attach a draft pick to get somebody to take it. And they're running out of draft picks.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
So,
They'll take the cap hit. They're going to be able to clean out by cutting a whole bunch of people like Teddy Bridgewater and stuff like that. So they'll be able to. And Gesicki was probably gone, so they will have opportunities to open up cap space, along the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up this. What's going on with this Josh Allen injury? I don't know if you guys are messing with me.
He banged up his arm probably. More important than your little bills there is this right here. Okay, right here. That face after the Sanders miss came like that was like right the second he missed, the camera's focused in, and that is Mike McDaniel going, wait, Sanders missed that shit? And I got to tell you something. And now he said it was wind down the stretch. Some people say the wind wasn't that bad in the stadium, that it wasn't swirling that bad. I don't know. You were there. I don't know. You tell me.
From my angle, it looked worse outside the stadium, but it swirls when it comes in like that. So I can't speak to what it was like on the field mid-game. The flags on the goalposts weren't moving, that dramatically. But I am of the mindset that, man, at 29 yards, unless it's a 60-mile-an-hour winds, you got to be able to punch that thing through. You got to be able to punch that thing through. It's
Well, that dude's got
but
ghosts in his head, bro. Something's going on with Jason Sanders.
which is weird because he was
You
excellent
know,
all summer. I think he missed one kick all spring and summer. Uh, Again, you don't want to say the Y word, the YIPS word, but you just hope that it's not that. You hope that it's
I
not that.
wanted to give him time, because there was already people that gave up on him before even the season started from how he played last year. And so now he's had enough time and he's had enough screw ups already to be concerned into the second half of the season. Will Marcel Louis-Jacques, who is covering a team who is 1 week away from a bye week, a perfect time to work out kickers and possibly bring somebody in? Would that be an option?
You got one more week. You got one more week. We'll see what happens in the Cleveland game. What kind of situations he faces, but I don't know because I don't think Mike is the kind of guy to throw Jason under the bus if that is the reason why he chose not to kick there on 4th and 1. The next gen models did say going for it was the right move. So, there's that if you're a believer in those. But
Oh,
I think I think he's done enough he's earned at least another week.
I don't mind, dude. I don't mind him going for it. If anything, with McDaniel, I actually have more problems with his clock management at the end of the first half and some in the second half. Those timeouts early in the fourth quarter. There were some things that I could question with McDaniel on that. Going for it, I had no problem with it. I'm just saying, watching Sanders miss, it's just he looks to me like now a guy that I can no longer count on. If I'm the coaching staff, if I'm the team, he's a guy that I can't count on anymore at this point. He's almost got to like earn my trust again.
I can't argue with that. Again, a 29-yard field goal it's something that unless we're talking about apocalyptic conditions, it's something I expect you to be able to punch through. And it didn't even really look like the wind took it. It looked like he just looked there left, or was it left, if I remember correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's hard to tell, from I can never tell where the ball goes live, like from my seat in the box. It's so hard to see which, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of fans and colors in the background. I'm already colorblind. I usually just watch fan reactions and then I watch the replay. So I can't tell you exactly where it goes, but from what I remember on the replay, it never had a chance. So it's not something that you like to see, but he is somebody that I think the team still wants to trust. It's somebody who obviously he's been here for a while. That's going to give him a little bit longer of a leash than maybe a guy you just brought in off the street. But the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking if you don't start hitting.
Well, since McDaniel's been here, it looks like he's 4 for 4. He brought in Mostert, seamless transition. He brought in Craycraft, seamless transition. He brought in Sherfield, seamless transition. And it looks like Wilson Jr., seamless transition. He looked better and more comfortable in one game than Chase Daniels did in 8.
It's kind of what you expected out of him. What I loved wasn't just the physical running, which is something that I think the Dolphins have lacked more or less this year. He was so willing in pass protection. And, I thought that 30-yard run he broke off, watch the play before that, watch him pick up the blitz to keep Tua clean before that. That's the kind of effort that is going to get you more play time. There's a reason he played more than 50% of snaps today. And it's that kind of effort, it's that kind of mentality, that kind of production that's going to get it to you. It was my favorite line of his press conference. Somebody asked him what your running style is. He said, downhill. I don't like to play too many games. And you saw that today. Maybe one cut and then shoulders down, legs are churning. And, sometimes that's what you need. You need a gritty yard. You need a 3, 4, 5, whatever yards up the gut to keep a drive alive. I wouldn't say he's going to, we've got a new starter. There's a new controversy at running back. I don't know about all that, but I think it's going to be I think it's a legitimate timeshare compared to what we've seen over the past 6 weeks, which is Raheem Mostert really taking control over the backfield over Chase Edmonds.
Well, what I think also is it's a better complement to Raheem Mostert, whereas Chase was almost the same kind of player that Mostert was. Well, Wilson's a little different. He brings a little bit more of that raw ability, that power ability, that power running that you talked about. Then not only they lacked this year, but they lacked it last year too, by the way. So I like it's more of a yang to the yin, in other words. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I like about it, that you've got a little bit of a mix there with those two guys.
Yeah, I like the tandem. You can tell there's chemistry there. You can tell there's a lot of trust from coaching staff down there. Again, I've been able to speak with Jeff Wilson a few times. Great locker room dude, like the kind of guy who feels like gets along with everybody, uplifts everybody, positive spirit, positive attitude. I think it's an underrated addition. That was an underrated addition at the trade deadline. Obviously, Chubb gets the attention, and it's not like people are ignoring the Wilson trade, but I think it deserves more love than it's already getting.
All right, two things before we go. Injuries. Any injuries that we should know about?
No updates from what I can tell. I think the idea, the plan here is to get Austin Jackson ready to play against the Browns next week. That's going to be a big shot in the arm for this team's offensive line. That's I thought looked pretty well. I thought they looked pretty good today. They kept to it clean for the most part.
Whoa. Depth, right? You're not expecting him to start at all, right? Rochelle already won
Austin
that
Jackson?
job over. Jones owned left guard.
Where did Austin Jackson play last season?
Right tackle and left guard.
He did not play right tackle last season. Played left guard.
Yeah.
Where is there an opening on the starting lineup right now?
Did Robert Jones do a bad job today? Are you sure he did a bad job today?
I think if you go with your best five, I think Austin Jackson is in your best five.
High ankle sprain, I think you do not play him for a couple weeks. You practice him, you get him in game, maybe you get him in there a couple reps slowly, and then you put him in there. I don't think you thrust him into the starting lineup, especially when you haven't allowed a sack in 2 weeks. I don't know, my brother. I disagree with you on that one. All right. So next question.
I think they got out of today pretty healthy, though.
Somebody is 6-0 when he starts and he finishes games. I don't know who that is on this team, but somebody's 6-0 when they start and they close. They got sorry-ass Cleveland. They'll take care of Jabroni Brissett. They'll take care of sorry-ass Houston. But San Fran, Chargers, Buffalo, and Packers, that is where Tua Tagovailoa either becomes a talk amongst the MVPs if he has a stretch where he wins 3 of those 4 games. Agree or disagree?
You're saying this is where he earns MVP talk?
He's right. Not earns the MVP, but he is put in the MVP race and like in the middle of the race. If he wins San Fran, Chargers, Buffalo, and Green Bay, I mean, the Chargers aren't really that much of a challenge, but I'll throw them in there just to kind of appease all those Herbert lovers out there. But, out of those 4 games, if Tua Tagovailoa performs well and wins 3 of those 4 games, is he in the MVP conversation? Marcel Louis-Jacques of ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, if he wins those 3 games and he puts up numbers like he is currently, then yeah, I think he's in the conversation now. Like it's hard to discount. It's hard to discount him now. I'm not saying he's a leader. I think Jalen Hurts is pretty clearly the MVP frontrunner right now, especially after the game Josh Allen just had, and I don't know what his injury situation is going to be like. But and I don't think those games are. It's a hard stretch. Don't get me wrong, because you're on the road 3 weeks in a row, and that Bills game might even get flexed. So you're looking at cross country back-to-back games, and then Buffalo in the cold on a short week. It's going to be hard, but I don't think it's like.
Wait a minute, hold on.
I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible to. I don't think it's impossible to get out of that stretch 3-0. Like it's not as hard on paper as it looked before the season.
I got it now. The Marcel Louis-Jacques drinking game. every time he mentions the Bills or Buffalo, you all take a shot. And you
You
all
just
would be
mentioned the
drunk
Bills.
as
What the fuck
hell.
are you talking about? You just mentioned the Bills. You just mentioned a
Just
3-game stretch,
once.
including one against the Bills. You just mentioned a 3-game
But you
stretch.
mentioned him like 8 times in the response.
You're talking about MVP race. Who is the MVP frontrunner entering this week?
Tua, of course. But, I'll just
Yeah,
let you guys talk about everybody else if you want. Some guy named Josh Allen with a weak wing. I don't know. This guy lost to the Jets. Come on.
I don't know.
Let
And I
Josh
think, like,
Allen.
I can't it's really hard to win MVP when you're not quarterback. It's also really hard to win it when you're a wide receiver because you think, like, okay, if a wide receiver is winning MVP, what are his quarterback numbers? You know what I mean? And, like, they're obviously going to be in that conversation too. But Tyreek's got to be talked about, man. Like, Tyreek's, I think, offensive player of the year. He should probably be a lock at this point. But I don't know if I'm going to discount. I don't know if I'm going to completely disregard putting Tyreek in the MVP conversation, man. That dude is he's on pace for 2,000 and legit on pace for 2,000. Like, to the point, I don't want to hear people call it a pipe dream anymore. We're 9 games into the season.
But does he have to get 2016 to make it look good? Like going to week 17 with 2005 and say, see, screw you all. I don't need that extra game. Just so you know, I got $2,000 before 17, so don't use that asterisk on my ass. Now let me go out and get 2,200.
Yeah, I think obviously it would be nice to shut down the historians there, but then you got to look at yards per game. You got to go for efficiencies. Look at the efficiency and say, okay, what would he have done? What would so-and-so have done in 17 games, and how does it compare to what Tyke was able to do in 17? So, but I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not ready to discount him in that race, and I'm definitely thinking he's probably a lock for offensive player of the year.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. You can find out everything going on with the Dolphins and the Bills with Marcel Louis-Jacques. Marcel, much love. We'll see you later.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right. There you go. Don't forget, folks, myedgedrink.com, the finest energy drink on the planet. I'm telling you, man, delicious, smooth, and zero aftertaste. Only 78 calories. It's a joke. Can't get in a store. You got to go to myedgedrink.com. Here's the challenge. If you're a vodka guy like I am, mix it with vodka. And all I'm going to tell you is you're welcome. That's all. You're welcome. Okay? You're not even going to taste. When I do it with my Grey Goose, I don't even taste the vodka. It is so delicious. And like all these sports drinks, they have an aftertaste. Edge has zero aftertaste and only 78 calories. MyEdgeDrink.com. Use our code Big O. Get 10% off. Code Big O. MyEdgeDrink.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.